we will see as we move into the game. And it's going to be very interesting if GAM fall behind, because frontline like Yoshino and Fook, if they get ahead, can run over GAM while Style is still trying to put together his items.
They will. Avoiding interesting. Yes. Are you super familiar with this build path?
The Rift Maker into Cosmic Drive.
Yeah,
I'm aware of it.
It's pretty cool, and it does feel very good. Although it is strange on Kennen to not have like rocket. Basically, since the inception of Proto Belt, that's been the go-to item for Kennen, because you either it was Rocket Belt where you got a really decent dash distance, and then it was all about being able to kind of run through in an enemy team. And then when it became Rocket Belt, the single target damage with your W and things like that after the stun just make it such a really, really rough situation to deal with if you're the person on the receiving end of that combo. So it's very different, but it is really good into tank melting, which is really cool. I've also seen little tiny adaptations, like building a bit of attack speed. Like you're not quite as crazy as like Bork or something like that, which I have seen in really, really niche kind of situations in Korea. But the other one is Nashters, to be able to pop into that. If you're really intent on only side laning and fighting against Yoshino here, I wouldn't be shocked to see that come out with the Rift Maker as well, just to make sure that the Cyan cannot sandbag the lane, which... Again, that's a modern adaptation. GAM is not just sitting on their hands here. I like that they're showing off a bit of this. They know the front half of their split went really well. So they're testing some things.
Yeah, I will say for those, it will be with that build, it is a lot less effective in the sort of big team fight burst until that Cosmic Drive. So on that Void Rift Maker, it's not going to be doing a hell of a lot of damage in the AoE, but yeah, it does increase your side laning potential by a decent amount. So going up against Yoshino, who is going for the Comet to just sort of try and put as much pressure down as he can in this obviously losing matchup, will be fun to keep an eye on as the game progresses. Meanwhile, the jungler's just going to keep farming it out. Levi should get a small tempo lead based on what jungler he's playing. But as it is, full control on the bot side, it should just result in a split map and not much to do about anything.
Not really. Really funny also, I think it's worth bringing up, at least for a touch of information. Oh, we actually have a topside dive here where Kiaya underneath the top tower alongside Levi. They're just going to leave. That was a lot of damage. Okay, I knew the kill was going to come through. I almost expected one more tower shot. I thought Kiaya would have to flash out, and then the last one would get taken by Levi right there. They ended up killing him before that even came through.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not 100% sure if it was like just a case of Yoshino was stunned the entire time, or
if I'm correct, this is the patch where Rumble's harpoons actually shred magic resist even more than they used to. And so if the W came in afterwards, then Kiaya's magic damage got ramped as well, which is a little bit wild to think about. So yeah, that was the number one thing about Rumble's buffs this patch, is that the magic resist shred is absolutely ridiculous. The Sora is going to flash, E, Q, and Style is out. Absolutely. Oh, that's not true. I was going to say nothing wasted, but barrier and heal were both dumped by this Squire. So I will give Sora a little bit of credence, because that was at least a play that burnt a lot of the defensive subs.
Yeah, and if this can actually crash, they just need the one auto to get that first plate. And the Wavers kind of betrayed them there. But yeah, I was sort of, especially in draft, wanting to question the sort of double AP topside. But yeah, if Levi's got that inbuilt Void Staff, essentially, that applies to everyone on the enemy team, on your team, just gives Kiaya that extra bonus damage, and away you go. So Levi putting this Rumble to good use, and Yoshino didn't have to blow anything, so should be a little bit safer in the repeat, or if it comes up to that. And Kiaya is himself a bit more vulnerable. So, an opportunity to clap back from Fuquan if he so desires to make it up there.
Yeah, funny enough, also, I was going to talk about this just before. Do you remember, was it like Season 9 MSI, where it was like Rumble and Morgana had become just out of nowhere, like the preference in the jungle? They were just like, let's buff a bunch of random junglers and see how it sticks. Right? Or was that Season 10? Season 10,
I think, yeah.
Yeah, that was season 10. And one of the biggest complaints about Rumble in the Jungle then was that people couldn't hit ultimates, which was fair. Like, it even prompted Freak to throw that stat up about like, oh yeah, it's just like not that good in the jungle or something like that. People got vicious. I'm more talking about whether or not Levi is going to be able to hit ultimates, as Kiaya just gonna hold. Like, what does he do? Like, Yashira's just getting walked at under his tower for absolutely nothing and taking so much damage.
Yeah, very little, especially now that Kiaya has his ultimate in hand and can stun you up forever. A little bit lucky, a little bit unlucky. Couldn't get any damage down to Kiaya because that was very nearly a kill back. But
have you seen anybody in like the last like 5 years rush like the Negatron cloak? I don't think I've seen a full Negatron rush like ever. Maybe ever in a competitive game. This is, which is completely understandable. Don't get me wrong. I don't think Yashira's doing the wrong thing because he's getting bullied by 2 AP champions. But goodness, I like literally like looking at this item just feels, it's like got uncanny valley vibes to me right now.
Okay, Jake's gonna try and make something happen.
Oh, that is a nice hook as the flash has to come through to make sure that Zin doesn't go down as Levi's here on the defense. But Sora's making decent use of the Blitzcrank here on bottom side at least.
Yeah, he can't quite get the convert, but it's yeah, the pressure's coming down from Jane and with Sora trying to win out this bot lane. Mm-hmm. You're losing top side, but you are definitely trying to make up for it in the bot side. You've got a good CS lead. Your cull is going to come online before style, for whatever that's worth. And okay, Fook is in the right position to full splash.
Yeah, very well played. Although he's stepping right back into the Rumble, who just devastates Fook's health bar. As usually you'd be like, okay, the Wukong can win this 1v1, right? And then Levi just like, oh, nope, I'm Flash, I'm safe, and now nobody can hit me, and now it's time for me to turn with a harpoon. And I don't know that Fook was ready for that damage. It seems like this change has actually made it a lot easier to turn like that, as the Rumble just is a lot more menacing than the pure 1-to-1, which is, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Maybe for people playing against it, it's going to be a very bad thing, but you can see Levi's taking it to full advantage. Yeah,
it's just sort of, he's already realized, well, I'm kind of have a free top lane kill at the moment whenever Kiaya's ultimate is up, so I'm going to build this Dark Seal, and I'm going to keep sitting in the top side. I'm going to end up picking up Rift Herald right now. Flash would be a bit amiss to try and fight this, I would say, but Puddin is here.
Okay, big kind of play, although they're just jumping on Yashiro. Yashiro's gonna die immediately. That's Kiaya's ultimate to stop Fook 1 from doing anything. Now they just have to stop. Okay, that is at least one back for Yashiro, as there was an attempted flash E from Kadi to make sure that they couldn't grab it. So no Rift Herald does end up going over, and it is a shutdown. The Scion's gonna be able to grab a little bit of gold, but it's still 2 kills over to the side of GAM.
And as I pointed out, the Dark Seal loses all its stacks, so that sort of prime target selection coming out from the side of Team Flash after they end up sort of going down, but not quite able to save Levi's life. If he had, it probably would have turned into a Herald, but now it's just we're just gonna go back and repeat this, but this time our Style has joined the party.
Also, Rumble's ultimate's back, so they do have a bit more in that regard. Both, you have Jace and you have Scion on the other side of the map as well. Although I don't think GAM really cares to flip this, so they're not going to worry about it. They're just going to sit here. They're going to make sure it's in an okay place. And now, I mean, if they keep this lane set up right here and right now, it's going to be Kadi up against Scion, which means that you've got now a free lane for the Jace. We've seen this one picked specifically, and the Jace do fine in this lane because there's not much that Scion's going to be able to do, especially since he's dumped into Merc Treads and Negatron Cloak. Bobby, GAM's playing a really, really cool game now.
Yeah, they've done the old switch around, and something I always try and say is make sure your side laners have different damage. Unless you're going for an Elise strategy where it's just we are snowballing. Because this way Yoshino can build for one side laner and then the other one comes along and takes out all his health for free because there's no resistances. And similarly for Jane currently hasn't got anything resistance-wise, just a ruby crystal, so it's a bit moot there. But all in all, it's a nice attempt of a move, but Flash has rotated themselves back into a spot to contest this next dragon.
All right, I mean, yeah, it's Team Flash playing very, very good towards objectives, which is perhaps the one thing that we can really talk about, as well as on this bottom side. There's going to be a Rift Herald drop to try to get some plate gold. Sora's here too, alongside Fook 1. Maybe to try to pull. They're not going to be able to find anything here. Yeah, it's not going to happen. Now Levi's here on the defense as well. You still have the Rumble ultimate to be able to work with. You got TP from Kiaya. You have some really menacing tools here to work with for GAM if they want to contest this fight. Team Flash kind of, again, swarms around this dragon. 4 members on both teams here, ready and raring to go.
Yeah, we're also seeing, despite everything, Fook is keeping up with. Hold that.
It's a big play. Nice charm on a Levi. Ultimate is going to get dropped in the choke point, and that's going to do tons of damage as Scotty's able to get the first one of the play. Jane is going to be able to get one, but Sora has to flash over top of the wall. As now, Team Flash on the retreat. Both junglers kind of traded 1 for 1. As I think neither team wanted either of those 2 to fall. That's the only member that would have made a difference for the dragon going down, and because they're both dead, nobody could actually take the objective.
Yeah, and we also saw Kiaya go for a walk down to try and participate. This is going to give Yoshino a little bit of catch-up time, but it's not going to result in too much, and it's a nice pick by Jane onto Levi. Unfortunately, the burst isn't quite there. Oh, but it's a beautiful wild growth to just let Levi get off that ultimate, and in that corridor, that's going to wreak havoc.
Yeah, Xin did really well. I think if Kiaya showed up or was able to find some kind of flank angle on the backside of that fight, you end up getting into those 3 members. It is probably lights out in this game for GAM on the spot. When they walk away with the Dragon, they probably walk away with 4K gold advantage. They're able to push bot. They're able to push mid. Like, there's so much they get from just that one play. But thankfully, Team Flash able to not lose anything insane. They are down a couple ultimates here that will make it difficult to fight this. They have no Cyclone. They have no Ari ultimate. They've got no Philios ultimate. And still, they're able to shove back all of GAM, even with the Equalizer available for Levi. Will they fight it or not? You've kind of got this play on the backside. Styles here on a flank, as that's going to be Fook 1 getting shoved off of the Dragon to the best of their abilities. We'll see. That is going to be a grab of the Dragon here. Harpoons come out after the flash. That's going to be Levi trying to drop some additional damage. On the top side here, I think it is going to be Sora going down to Cotty, but nothing else to speak of. Style still wants more smoke right here, right now. Fook 1 goes over top of the wall. Style flashes for it. He's going to get the Zid ultimate. He's going to try to get it. He does end up getting 1 put and trades back immediately. And now Levi gets stuck up with the charm. And Team Flash walks away with a big fight win after a loss of a play. Ends up not being a great gold shift, but they do get at least something for their trouble.
So definitely the mess option as we come out of this one. Not the immaculate play for Hanke as a birthday present, but over chasing into the jungle as well. Kiaya is going to get some top plates as Yoshino. Really nice ultimate, just really nice driving up through the rift, up through the jungle to get there. But yeah, bit out of position with where Style was. Okay, Cardi. Okay. Red white
and right into the replay as we're gonna get a chance to see this. Is this okay? Wait, we actually had a picture-in-picture. I'm gonna cast it. Okay, we jump out of the replay this time. Thank you, Sora. Actually, really good coverage of Pudding. I think Pudding was in some real trouble there, thinking that he had the ability to beat down Cotty when Cotty had a lethality item completed, but not gonna be the case. Support comes back and is able to save the day.
Yep. Yeah. The red white wasn't quite enough for Pudding to cut through Cuddy. He did have that health lead, but if that extended into 1v1, he was probably going to lose that.
Mobby, he won though. Cuddy's dead.
Yeah, because
results
he had
based
a robot.
Results based analysis.
Yeah, I mean, we all know robot equals victory. We love the robot. Now Kiara's gonna get that top tower. That's pretty much traded off the map. It's a win for Team Flash as they, I believe, got the first brick. And now just second Rift Herald on the board. GAM is in position to pick that up when it spawns. So actually, given reset timers, it may just be Flash in control of that one again too. As that's a very fed Kiaya, but it's also a very fed Aphelios.
Yeah, I was actually, I'm really happy they put up the gold because I was about to ask about this because I'm like, I don't think anybody has a massive separation. I was a little wrong about that because Kadi actually has a really good advantage over top of Jane. But from what I had seen, like Pudding picking up a couple of kills on the bottom side, still being able to farm versus Kiaya, who's basically gotten everything here, is going to be an absolute beast in the side lane and inside the team fights. Notably, there isn't anything like super side lane focus. Is going to be Void Staff second. So alongside the pen from this Rumble, there's a lot of burst potential that could come down onto anybody, especially with the lack of magic resist on basically any other member. Screen pretty choppy for you too. I just want to make sure this is
Yeah,
my American
it is.
internet.
It is.
Okay.
It's
Good.
choppy for me.
All right.
Yeah, I almost feel the voice staff kind of is a side lane item, given how much magic resist has been indexed into by Yoshino. But as it is, it should help a lot to cut through some of the to put some more damage down into the team fights as well. But it does delay that sort of cosmic drive that we were sort of expecting to come on out, and yeah, well, it should mean that side lane pressure. It's gonna be a little bit harder for Kiaya to just sit in side lanes and keep that pressure going, as mid lane seems to bot lane is belonging to Jane. Kadi not really wanting to push that out, but now with Rift Herald in hand, they should be able to break this mid lane tower and open up a lot of opportunities to set up flanks and deep dives, etc.
By no standard, though, is GAM just kind of demolishing this game, which I can really appreciate here for Flash, because it would have been super easy for Flash to just fall behind. This has been a mark of them basically all split. Again, they walked in with Jane and Pudding and Fook1, which are all players that have had really good competitive experience in the past. Yashino, obviously, a leader. Sora's only the only one who's like a technical... what I'll call a true rookie, because I think some of these players have actually are technically rookies, but
you say that, but Sora, I just want to.
He also played.
Sora is Arte. He has.
I know he's got
split.
Yeah, he's had basically an entire split as well. The only reason I say that is because we've seen Jane and Pudding subbing for years on Cerberus, and Fook1 had an entire split as well. Although I guess again, if I was taking that stance, like Artie should also be in that consideration. So we have like. They're not like, this is what the difference has been, which is that this team's been experienced a lot more, and I think playing out a game the way that VCS plays out games, and that's what's given them such a better kind of front than what Box Esports had. Even if they've got some decent talent, that's an equalizer. It's going to dump a bunch of damage into Jane and Sora. It's going to make it difficult for Yoshino to get out. This Dragon's going to be contested. GAM's going to take all of this space. I think Team Flash, will they look for re-engage? They still have to worry about Kadi or Kiaya's ultimate here. GAM's trying to goad them into it. GAM is really, really trying to force them here to pick up a fight as Jane just continues to get barraged by Levi or by Kadi out of mid lane. I think they just bail on this. I don't think they actually make a play. They're going to try to steal. Yeah, Fook1 is just going to get pushed off, and they're going to walk out. They're going to give the dragon up. They're not going to lose the game on this.
It's one Chemtech Drake. It's not really worth anything. So they wanted the angle. They wanted the soul stack, but it's fine to just let this one go. Now, Yoshino's sort of sitting behind. He has no flash, so this is a bait to set up. Levi forced to flash.
Okay, Fook1 just 1v1 versus Levi right here. Sora, can he make a pull? He does make the pull happen, and that even through the Xin ultimate's going to be big. Now Fook1 is able to jump in on the other side. That's going to be 1-for-1 now. I think 2-for-1 in the grand scheme. Kadi is in the midst of everything, and he's been in really bad trouble. He drops some really good damage, and now Kiaya and Style have to put in a whole heap of work, and they're going to do it as they find an additional one. Now Kiaya underneath the tower. Is he going to be able to find anything? Style is also trying to run, or getting run down by Yoshino at the moment. Just a little bit of damage is all that they need. They're on the dive underneath the tower. Jade is okay, yeah. Oh, the final tower shot. And Sora walks away the sole survivor of the entire fight here, Mavi.
Blitzcrank is the best by default, as everybody else is dead. That was insane from GAM. That should not have been as close as it was, considering how good a position Team Flash had on that fight. They set it up, but my god, that's a lot of damage from coming out of Kiaya. And even that 500 damage from Levi kind of came out of nowhere and just chunked Sora out instantly. So
yes,
gonna move on. We see here, yeah, he's just kind of gone, but he's in a really bad position. But the turn onto Sora, the amount of damage that actually gets dealt to him, sorry, I guess Kadi was the main source of that, was just huge. I guess what actually saves it for GAM is they do pick off Pudding. very quickly, and Style gets to just keep hitting, keep those bolts spreading across the entire team. And then Jane plays this around the tower very well, blocking some of the damage from Zeri auto attacks. Good chance. And with Kiaya tanking, he just has to tank a little too long. And it's a trade.
It is. And GAM has now done this twice where it feels like they've just like hard coin flipped big fights. And maybe they heard me talking trash at the beginning of the day. Maybe Hanke heard me. It was like, all right, guys, we're going to coin flip every 5-on-5 for the rest of the game because we need to practice team fighting. And you know what? Honestly, props to you. If that's really what you're doing, like just to practice team fighting, I think it's gone okay, given that you're not this massive advantage. That is an insane equalizer. It doesn't do a ton of damage, but it is a really well-placed one because multiple members were in that for a couple of seconds at least, because that's the best one we've seen so far.
Yeah, the equalizers haven't been great from Levi, but what I'm actually excited about is Sora has decided to be Lehens. He's gone for that Everfrost, and that will mean, the burst potential that comes out from a hook that does land will be huge, and you only really need that one hook as the game progresses to make everything come together. That's a Morellis coming out from Kiaya, which it's magic penetration now, but I'm still not 100% sure what we're doing with this build anymore. I feel like talking about would have just been better given if this is the angle you wanted to go.
On one hand, maybe it's like a hat on a hat situation where you get better laning against like a Jack Show Scion. That's another equalizer that gets popped down just to make sure that the wave is going to be gone, and nothing is really handled here by Team Flash because they don't know what to do. The wave has just disappeared. It's gone out of nowhere. Again, maybe it's a thought of like he doesn't need more magic pen on top of the rocket belt. So it's like, okay, if I take rocket belt, I'm getting pen, I'm getting single target. I don't really want that. So it's like, okay, this is I get to stay in a fight forever. I get to kind of fight all the way through. Maybe that's the intention for Kiaya, which has worked out. In fairness, Kiaya has been the longest standing member in basically every single team fight for GAM. Been able to stack that Riftmaker really easily. Been able to stack the Conqueror pretty well. So honestly, I suspect that this was intentional, but you're right. I'm curious. Still no Cosmic Drive. Still no items that we're really expecting out of a build like this. Also no Rylai's, which I think would be very helpful for either Levi or Kiaya to have, just so that you can kind of double up on those ultimates and really pack a punch.
Yeah, and this is definitely not a bad purchase for the orb, by any means. Between the Bloodthirster rushes that we're seeing these days. Bit of healing from Fuquan, and the Jack Show healing might matter in the 1v1 side lane. Probably not a lot, but it's just a sort of an extra cherry on top to the buy. Well, why not?
True. All right, set up around Dragon. Again, Kiaya had a bit of a push going on bottom side. They clear out some of the jungle space that is currently existing for Team Flash. They're going to have to work into GAM's vision as the dragon spawns up. This time, Flash is nowhere near this one, so it's going to be third dragon taken here for GAM Esports, as they're going to be walking away now. Very, very happy about that one. They may lose mid lane, but again, the equalizer used just to kind of dump the wave. They lose their last minion, not able to find the tower, as Team Flash super close to getting Pager. If they had gotten those two towers, I feel like this gold lead would be very, very close as GAM picks up their second dragon of the game. My apologies, I thought they had the two dragons. They did not. That is a pick on to the Jace immediately, and Zin's ultimate saves the situation a little bit, but Yashino is just shredded on the front line. Jane trying to find something in the midst of everything. Gets a nice Q. Kiaya in the middle of every single member, able to get a massive ultimate and finding a bunch of damage. Is he able to get away from Jane, though? Is Jane clean this fight so well? And now Zin is just dead. Out of nowhere, Team Flash finds a huge fight.
Yeah, Puddin diving straight past the front line of GAM, straight past Kiaya and just tearing up the back line. They're going to be rewarded with this Baron, and that's a huge swing for Team Flash. They should now have pretty much firm control of the game. This will give them a gold lead. The Dragons are equal. That puts a dampener on things, but as we see here, it's a good pickup, and this is a very delayed ultimate, but it gets a huge knockup, but they can't convert on it. It's worth remembering as well, that choke point, if there was an equalizer, it would be huge, but of course, Pudding flashing straight past Kiaya, huge Infernum ults, and just cuts them through. Why were you there? Pudding, how were you there? Wait.
That's a great question. Who's to say?
Was Pudding there? We looked at the cluster in the mid lane, but in the base, but there should not have been a Puddin there. What happened?
I have no idea. I'm not sure. You know what? I don't really know if we're going to get a replay here because we're right on to Baron here for GAM. They've got 4 members. Kadi's going to have to rejoin. No TP either. So this is a 4v4 at the moment. No ADC for no top laner. So that's an equalizer. It's going to be another garbage equalizer. Our junglers got to figure out this champion, man. Like, this has been so terrible, Mobby. I don't understand. Our junglers just don't know how to press the ability.
Guys, just turn off Swiftcast. It makes it easier.
Please turn it down. Okay, now 2,500 health. Fook 1 in the back of the pit. That's going to be an ult from Yasuno, basically point blank. Kiai pops the ultimate to be able to deny him. That's a steal from Fook 1. He's going to go down in the back of the pit. Now Jane going to get jumped on by Kadi, who is able to re-enter the fight at the last possible minute. Let's see a little bit more on the other side. That's going to be a chase down Sora, as it's only Puddin and Yasuno with the Baron buff. A 1 fight from GAM, but Flash have wrestled this game back, Bobby.
They've kept it damn close. It's losing the fight does hurt, but keeping the buff on Yoshino and on Puddin does mean you can play the 2 lanes. And yeah, Puddin just gets jumped on by a Jace. A little bit rough, but now he's back to his side laning. Seems to have won up against Kiai this time around. So he has not been deterred. And of course, with the Sparrow buff, wants to try and find a wave and crash it in and gets the gold rolling. Style now completing the quick blade, so will be a little bit more mobile, more active in the fight. The turret's going to quickly take this down. And the gold is starting to move for Team Flash. They're still down on the Baron power players. We see this attempt, and Fook does land it. I like this wraparound from Kadi, sort of baited in, trying to bait Jane towards him, and then with the ultimate coming up huge from Kadi, from Sin rather, giving you the big Kadi. That sort of split the fight, made them a little bit confused. Of course, no Puddin in the area, and Yoshino's ult kind of taking him out of the fight as he runs straight past. Means that GAM clean up the fight pretty well.
Some menacing items have been completed on both sides. As Infinity Edge is done, like you had said, Navori has been done, Sorelda's is done for Kadi. Is a really defensive build from Jane, but I think the Horizon is actually going to help pick up a bit of that damage, because Jane has done really well utilizing the charm for picks over the course of the game. That's really the main intent of that, as well as the Everfrost from Blitzcrank now completed as well, which means somebody getting picked is very, very simple to bring them down. Puddin, all they have to do is throw a couple autos in, and it feels like Puddin is going to be able to rip through anybody on GAM Esports. As GAM, again, to me, they're the ones that have been more or less floundering in this game. I know they're not down in gold by any standard, but for a team in first place right now, taking on the team that currently sits in, I think, 5th or 6th, this is not how you would want this game to go. They are going to call the bluff of Team Flash and just say, okay, you want to fight us? Let's fight. Let's just run up mid lane. And honestly, I would not blame them if they kept going. That is a little bit of a blunder from a relatively young squad who just got their bluff called, and they did not have a response whatsoever. Now they have to fight in 2 directions here. So that's going to be an engagement coming in from the side. Not going to hag anybody but Levi. Over top of the wall, Sora have to flash. Can't hit a hook either. That's Kiai who gets stuck on the right side of the fight. Everybody else can't really re-enter as Fook 1, getting run down by everybody else. They're going to lose their jungler. Now, over top the wall, there goes Style, who does end up going down. Into the choke point goes the rest of this team. Zin gets pulled and is going to go down as well. So it's a 2-for-1 for Flash, as both kills go into Puddin the Dragon available. Should be another big win for Flash. They lose their inhibitor, but I don't think they care. At this point in the game, they've got more than enough wave clear to deal with this.
Yeah, they pick that up. They may not go straight for the Dragon. Okay, now they will. Yeah, and just such a close fight, and I want to say huge props to Fook and Sora for just sort of splitting up. Because you can't, if you stick together, the way out for GAM is easy. They just jump on the 2 and kill them. But now the fight gets completely split up. Rather, Style gets out of position trying to chase on Sora. Fook gets manages to drag a few out with him, and in the end, a good hook does bring it to an actual win for the side of Flash. But yeah, it was a really nice fight set up from the side of Team Flash, and they made it hard for GAM to really work their composition together.
And I sort of missed it in the middle of everything, but I'll put a bit of blame on the style because for the first time, I actually have to say that I think Levi's ultimate was really good. It cut off 4 members from being able to walk in and do anything because you would have been walking right through a whole equalizer worth of damage. You saw it stalled Yoshino, it stalled Jade, it stalled Puddin from being able to really enter the fight and do anything. So I thought it was actually a perfectly used ultimate. Kiaya gets picked. He's going to press the E, going to try to get out of bad situation. Throws the ultimate down. Actually does a ridiculous amount of damage. Almost kills Fook1. Nearly kills Sora in the process. It was a bit of a trade. His bottom lane, the tower got taken by Cotty there. But a big pick. Another value of the Blitzcrank here in the later stage of the game.
Yeah, Rift make a value coming in huge. They're able to keep Kiaya alive a lot longer than I was expecting. The bounce house meant that he still went down. Didn't really want to try and use the flash to get away. But yeah, he almost takes down both Fook and Sora. These are not terribly tanky. More of them are more here. So that's the word. That's the one that saves Fook in the end. Now, just gonna keep.
There's 3 control wards in this one spot.
You want the 30 gold. You want the gold. Okay, that's cheating. Style can just hit all of them at once.
Style hit all of them at once just collects like a free 150 gold from the side for the fishing of Sora. I seem to remember that being a maximized, like an optimized run it down tactic because you used to take Nunu with Ghost Flash and fill your inventory with wards so they could just kill wards underneath their tower for free and give additional gold on top of killing you. So I don't know, Sora employing some old school tactics right there.
Yes, well, he doesn't have the Ghost nor the Cleanse, so we can't quite determine what he's up to. Plus he's landed some good hooks, and now he's going to look for another one. Cardi not on a ward thanks to the 3 control wards. That little tri-section of the jungle, very rewarded. But now Flash looking to control the river, try and make Gun chase them into the fog of war towards the Baron.
One big thing is that slowly Cotty's damage has ramped up over the game. Now on 4 items with the Soreldas is really chipping away. Put in a Jane, especially Jane has been on the receiving end of some really nasty shock blast. You saw that one to cut down a third of the health bar. Now Sora Hex Flash over the wall. Thought there was going to be some attempt, but wasn't able to find anybody. Importantly, notably, Guardian Angel is done now. Rabadon's is almost done for Jane. I think it's actually in Team Flash's best interest to try to stall this fight just a little bit longer, so that they can pick up a few of their really kind of pivotal items. The only breakpoint that's still remaining here for GAM is that maybe you get the last Whisper item for Style, but a lot of Zeri's damage is magic, so I don't think they care too much about trading that off if they can get Jane onto Rabadon. So it would be a lot bigger of a pick tool. It's a question of whether they can slow things down.
And if you get Pudding to complete his Zeal item, he will be full build.
That too.
That will be a pretty significant advantage over what Style has, being a full Guardian, essentially a full Guardian Angel up. And as it is, the poke is pretty menacing between the Shurikens, between the Shock Blast. Jane going in, looking for it.
Ooh.
Can't quite find it.
Remarkable amounts of damage. That's a pick directly into everybody. It goes the Wukong, and that's going to be a ton back and forth. Ridiculous amount of damage traded off between the 2 teams, as there's 3 members of GAM that are not down, but they're so low right now that it's difficult putting able to pick one up in exchange for that shock blast coming through from Kadi to pick up another one. Honestly, I think the damage traded between the 2 teams was equal, but 3 members ended up going down on Team Flash because they were able to target fire so much better. Finally, GAM gets an amazing fight that gets them into a great winning situation. They still have Levi up, have to be a bit careful with the Baron, but they've got all of their members headed back.
He is Pudding. He can do a lot, but now that Kiaya is back here, I don't know if this is doable.
Get in there, Dust Wave. Go get him. Okay, Puddin does not have super great gun setup for this in general. He's going to be able to pick off Zin. I know he's not going to be able to pick off Zin. I think Levi is, however, dead to rights. Yeah, didn't even have to press it. Abilities honored him one time, and that was sufficient. As Team Flash, down the jungler, they're down a couple thousand gold, but this is a chance to maybe go at Dragon. Now Kadi and Kiaya just run at this immediately. They've got the damage to spike it down. I think they just grab this too, and now out of nowhere, GAM just kind of seizes full control of the game. That's going to be a big ultimate coming through from the Scion. Kadi's now stuck out of position, probably ends up dying. Almost kills Sora with just one single combo. He does! Oh my goodness.
That's still a trade-up for the side of Team Flash in the kills, at least, given that they remove a Baron buff from Cardi. That is... Whew, okay. Puddin is huge right now. He is doing so much damage. And with those reaches, GAM are trying to feel the pressure and trying their best to put it to work. Style does not have Baron, Zin does. But Puddin can just decide, so he can walk up, he can just tank the Sour as much as he wants. He has that Bloodthirst, so he can get that health back ASAP. What can GAM do with this Baron? So far, they haven't been able to do a lot.
Biggest thing is that they deny Soul. That was a big denial from Team Flash because it would have been really close. The Equalizer also dumped onto Puddin. He was able to get out. I don't know if he had to burn Gale Force. It doesn't look like he had to burn that Summoner or that cooldown more than anything else. So that is very good. Still haven't seen like a true full combo from Puddin. He's kind of been focusing on members at the front end of a fight. Hasn't been able to get a really, really big backline kind of play. And swaps his Zeal item as well. Okay, for a second there, he had swapped his Zeal item for a Mob. Now Mortius. Oh, he does. He sells his boots. And he was able to get a Maul and a Runans, which is an unreal spike now. Puddin with no movement speed has the Gale Force to be able to kind of make some kind of shiftiness. With Ghost should be fine inside of a fight as long as he's got the Summoner down. But are a 6-item Aphelios at this point in the game. Team Flash are right there. I do not think this game is decided by any standard. We are now a couple minutes away from the Soul. I don't even think the Soul really wins this game. We might be in for an Elder Drake game here, Mobby.
Yeah, the benefits for the side of GAM now is... Will that more be enough to help Pudding if an Equalizer does land on top of him?
Oh,
Hook nearly lands off the eye. That could have been huge.
Super close.
But they have control over these River. Flash playing around their vision very well, setting it up and controlling huge swathes of territory. Just begging GAM to come looking. With that poke of the Shock Blast, it's a little bit easier for GAM to approach, but not... You still don't want to risk it. You don't have someone tank it. You don't have a Scion of your own to just walk up and willingly face tank the Hook. There's the Edge of Night.
Okay. Biggest thing, I think the difference maker in this game, what has kept GAM afloat basically this entire time, is Kadi. If I'm being 100% honest, were it not for these Shock Blasts from the Jace, I feel like Flash would have been in so many better winning situations. So many fights would have gone so much differently. Kadi and Jane, to me, both have been doing really well in this game. Is Jane not able to tag either the Charm or the Everfrost, just fishing a bit with the Ahri ultimate, low enough cooldowns that it's not really going to matter. You have to be super careful if you're GAM, because you have to worry about both Jane doing that and also Sora doing that. If you end up losing a whole member without the ability to fight back, they can start to just run at you. Team Flash is threatening our #1 team right now with a game loss in game #1 here on our second half of the split.
Yeah, and we see that Flash now back up from Sora. He can react instantly. He can make it so much harder for GAM to work around. They don't just have to be scared of dark pockets where a Hex Flash could come from. He can just go. He can just go for that hook. And with nothing on the map, Team Flash are quite happy. They're gonna just sit there. They're gonna wait. All summoners will be up for the next fight, unless Sora can find a hook that forces something. Even at this point, even if he just forces a Flash and doesn't trade his own, that means Team Flash will have a pretty real significant advantage coming into the next fight. And just controlling this bot side river, it is so hard for GAM to approach. They kind of need to... They're using the Vision Cone, but no. That was a blind hook into nothing.
It really was. And honestly, it came a little bit closer, but with the Edge of Night, like, you're not going to get hooked anyway if you're Kadi, so you're not that pressed about it. Everybody's geared up now for this late game. We've gone to 40 minutes, and I feel like we're still not really in a position for either one of these teams to be able to call it by any standard whatsoever. It's solid mid setup here from Flash. I know GAM is actually going to come in with 4 members, and they're just going to shove back. The is going to hover back behind to make sure there's no flank from Fook 1, and it means that mid push is going to be in favor of GAM pretty dramatically. Now Flash is looking for a bit of an angle here to try to get something. They're going to catch this wave, and they're just going to equalize everything. But the problem is bot lane is controlled by Flash, so they have a lot more space to work with here around the Dragon Pit. GAM is just going to be entering from the one direction. See if Team Flash can actually kind of punish this in any capacity whatsoever. Sora's sitting in the brush. That's a drag. It's dead. Like, there's nothing they can do about it. That's just Soul going over to the side of Team Flash, and I love the way they set it up. Again, that bot wave already being in position, they kind of jumped the mid wave to make sure there was no way that it got past the mid line, and Team Flash now walk away. Soul point in hand, ready to go into the hyper late game here, Mobby.
Yeah, with no wave, GAM can't try and force and ruin the positioning. But early on the Shock Blast, that could have been a pretty big, but now Soul in hand, Baron is the goal. I feel like as long as you don't lose complete vision from GAM, you almost want to give up enough. You want to give up enough position that you don't lose out on vision, but Team Flash are the ones trying to bait you towards them, because them trapped in a pit against an equalizer, against the slicing Maelstrom, against the Zeri's charge up, that can just charged up Zeri, that can be so much AoE damage that Team Flash just has to bail out of, or risk getting eviscerated. But yeah, Yosha's a tanky fella, though he just needs to just kind of walks at people. I don't know. Nothing is happening. They just want mid control. They just want to make sure they don't make the mistake this late in the game.
We got a whole bunch of really entertaining things happen at the beginning of the game.
Oh, yeah.
But as the game has ticked on, I feel like both teams have begun to take more respect, kind of help with the more respect towards the opposite. And now for the last 5 to 6 minutes of the game, it's been a lot more passive. There hasn't been these really intense plays. And I think it favors Flash for that. And the main reason why I think that is because, again, they're the ones that are fishing with abilities consistently. They're not the ones that are super stressed out here. They're not the ones at the top of the table. Or they are the Team Flash is not the one at the top of the table. So they've got all these additional tools. They're the ones striking at like the gods
Flash,
right now.
Yeah, Flash only needs to be lucky once. GAM needs to be lucky every time. And right now, Jane's lurking for that look.
I think just got rooted up, and that's going to be a jump onto Style immediately. Ultimate's going to get popped. Jane now on the side, going to be able to find quite a bit of damage on the Levi, shove them out of the fight. Equalizer didn't actually get that much.
Took no damage.
Still being able to get out. Flash from Jane was there to make sure Style had to flash away as well. So double flashes from a couple. Honestly, Jane did quite a bit there. He prevented Levi from walking in. He got both summoners off of Style, as well as the heal from Zin. I think was a bit more from the Gravitum auto attack from Puddin. But a fair amount of defensive kind of summoners pulled away from the Flash or from the GAM ADC.
It's a 3 for 2 in summoners. Both of Styles and Zin's heal traded out for Jane's Flash and Puddin's Ghost. Okay, Cardi has decided the team fights are not the way. He is going to try and split push. Yoshino just has to clear the wave. He can't really contend with the fight in the 1v1.
Gotta push harder.
Ultimates are available. Look,
you jump immediately into one. That's a solid equalizer to be able to split this fight relatively well. Now Puddin actually drops Moonlight Vigil, doesn't end up getting anything. His Style went down and no longer has the Guardian Angel. Gonna get brought down by Puddin, who's gonna fight on the other side of the fight. And Puddin is just wrecking everybody right now. Zin has to flash away. Now Kiaya, the only one left here to try to get anything done. Doesn't have the ultimate, doesn't have the flash, is just going to lose as Team Flash have weathered the storm. They get a massive fight win and a Baron buff to boot. As yes, there was that push on bottom side from Kadi, but they have more than enough control to take advantage of this map. And with Elder Dragon spawning in 2 minutes, they have everything they need to upset the #1 seed here in game number 1.
Kadi couldn't even get that tower. He just couldn't get past the brick wall of Yoshino. And here, it's just a good hook onto Style. Means that whatever GAM wanted to do, their setup just fell apart. Kiaya tries to trade back onto Fook and Jane, but there's so much magic resist actually on top of Jane that it doesn't really do all that much. They get Fook into Guardian Angel, but that's fine. Puddin is full health. Puddin is untouched, and it's a 2 for nothing.
Yeah, it feels like the rest of the members of this Flash team do not matter as much. Yoshino's got CC. Fook for one can jump in and Cyclone and do a little bit of damage. Jane has the Charm and the Everfrost. Sora's got the pull and the Everfrost. We are just setting up Puddin carry. Feels like an old school Cerberus composition, which is funny because these were the puppies, so they're kind of used to that strategy. You can see the damage in the team fight more or less echoes that. Not to say that, again, there are people doing really incredible things in other positions here. But honestly, Flash have done an amazing job setting up this late game team fight. We talked about that being the massive problem that GAM has had through most of the season. And now they're paying that tax very heavily right now. They're going to get their inhibitor on the bottom side just buried through. And what are they supposed to do about this? This is a perfect gun setup now. As Sora forces out a flash, that's going to be another bit of fishing done by Jane. They just lose a Nexus Tower for nothing but a push.
Putting the Team Flash playing so far back.
More action, trying to find something. They have a 5v4 right now underneath the base. Fook1's going to go down. Levi has to go. Zonia's underneath the tower. Puddin does get knocked up here for a second, but he heals way too much with that Severum. And that means that they have no damage on Puddin. He is still well above full health. 3,500 at the moment for the Aphelios. What are you to do? How are you supposed to get onto this guy and actually do any damage to him?
Cardi needs both Mortal Reminder. They need both Mortal Reminder, and Cardi needs to buy Serpent's Fang, because that's the only way you're dealing with these shields.
Truly.
He has a whole second health bar.
Okay.
That Ultra Shock Laser doesn't even break it. Cardi's gonna look for poke on the way out, but Yoshino can just eat it. Jane can dash around like an Arya, I suppose. And full control over this Elder Drake. They don't have a jungler, but I guess neither does GAM, so
you gotta be really
to push GAM to a fight.
You gotta be super careful, because again, they're gonna get poked. There's still always the possibility of big play. That is a big jump in. Sora's gonna go down. Now Pudding getting jumped on by Kadi in the backline. Isn't quite gonna be able to drop him, but Kiaya goes diving as well. And they're not gonna be able to get him. That's the Guardian Angel pop now. Jane goes the opposite direction. Not gonna be there to help his ADC. He's gonna get brought down. That's Kadi and Kiaya. Now Yoshino, the only one remaining in the fight. Jane just kind of skirting along the outskirts. And damn, pulls a fight out of nowhere. Fook1 is back. Can he do anything? He's gonna be able to grab Kiaya up with that Cyclone. I don't think he wants to go jumping back in. Fook, what are you doing? He pops the Cyclone. He's going to be able to get the Guardian Angel, but that's about it. Now, Jane, the only one remaining to try to deny the Elder Dragon from GAM.
He's looking for it, but Levi's just decided to push on mid lane. He's going to get Zin.
Okay. Flash Charm, able to get the support here. As that is an interesting decision coming through from Jane, who gets the ultimate back up. He's going to be able to escape with that Blast Cone and walk out. It's only 3 members that are going to be picking up the Elder Dragon here, but it is another swat. We're on a seesaw in hell, Mobby. I don't get it. What did we do to deserve this?
Kiadi's going to try and defend the base from the Winions. They only have the one Nexus Tower, of course, but with that Elder Drake, those will melt easily. And GAM can't keep getting away with this. They found the angle. Style, I thought he just lost the game right here, but Cardi is able to execute Sora. This Blitzcrank is not tanky, and they just ignore Yoshino and dive straight on to Puddin. And from there, it's pretty much it. They get Puddin, they get Yoshino. Jane's kind of left alone. It's a good play from Fook to deny Kiaya, because he was just going to teleport and come back. But he finds the kill. I don't think he registers Cardi has that Guardian Angel, but he was getting jumped on anyway. Does the best he can. And then, I think they were going to just try and push down the mid lane, and then they realized Jane's actually a pretty decent threat with how Xin just gets executed.
See, what I'm lost about there is, like, at the beginning of that play, again, it's some of that, like, youngster kind of mentality of, like, Jane had backed, because I'm certain what happened with Jane's mind was they were just like, oh yeah, Fook1's not up, Levi's not up, we're not flipping a dragon, right? And then they get a fight instilled upon 3 members that should have never been there. If Jane is there to start with, maybe that fight looks differently. Maybe the pick on the style is just defeating. But because they had a numbers disadvantage, it meant that Kadi and Kiaya could do as they please right there. And it opened up so much more. As again, that Elder Dragon went on to 3 members. My apologies. I think Kadi picked it up, which is one big one. Yeah, you could see Sora's one more shot class like that, and it feels like that's an execute that's going to come down onto whatever member takes it. So they do have to be quite a bit more careful here. The pick duels are more useful for Flash, because it means a Charm landing, an Everfrost landing, a Hook landing is going to make it really hard. That's a nice equalizer. Going to push Yoshino out the back of the fight. They're going to grab up that inhibitor. Moonlight Vigil popped as well. Doesn't get too much effect, as Jane is just getting dropped down right now as well. It's very, very difficult. But GAM, respecting Team Flash's team fight, is going to back up and is just going to take their inhibitor and walk away.
2 inhibitors in bottom mid. This should let them set up the dragon the Baron very well. They still have 30 seconds left, so Team Flash won't have to contend with that buff around the objective realistically. But they have the pressure in the lanes. GAM just needs to draw Yoshino to them, and then not actually get hit by a pick tool. until someone has to go back.
It is unreal just how long this game has gone. Are we at the longest game of split? I'm almost certain we have not had a 50-minute game in split.
Certain.
Now we've blown that number out of the water at this point, as this has just been a back and forth endeavor between Team Flash and GAM, and it feels like it's going to come down to a single team fight. Pick tools abound as well. I would not be shocked if this game ended up at 60 minutes either. Like if junglers die around the next Elder Dragon and they have to stall that fight just a bit longer than you would expect it to, I would not be completely shocked to see none of the pick tools really landing, but no team fight able to be instilled from GAM. So keep track of items at this point. We're on 4-item tank Scion, which is unreal. Like he's going to be an absolute beast.
We're on 3-item supports.
3-item supports is crazy, especially because our jungler right now, Fook1 is only on 3.5 items, just has not been farming at all in the back half of this game. That's so crazy. That Aphelios, baby, green-white, the perfect setup from over top of the wall is able to just grab up that Baron, and that's going to stall for time. There's nothing that GAM is going to be able to do about that. I don't know how much pushing they're going to be able to do. I doubt they're going to want to head too far past the midline of the map, but at minimum, that's going to buy their inhibitors back and wait for the next Elder Dragon.
I'm going to add an extra 1 year to Aphelios' development after seeing that. 201 years.
201 years.
God damn. That setup is insane. We have now gotten to the point where Style has sold the boots. He has a Guardian Angel and the Bloodthirster now. Just that little bit extra damage compared to that little bit extra safety for Pudding.
We're on 6-item Jace too. He sold this for the Serpent's Fang, which is just insane.
Thank you, Cardi.
Insane. What does Jane buy if Jane ends up selling an item too? Do you go for a Void Staff or something just for some additional damage? Like, what do you
Cosmic Drive for the movement speed?
Cosmic Drive would be disgusting for Jane. The W and the Q's landing, which gives so much agency to be able to run in with Everfrost. I wonder if we also get a tech swap. I feel like the Everfrost on the Ahri has just not been that available. I wonder if Jane would consider swapping to like Ludens or something if the time came, just so you could, if you hit a charm, basically somebody's executed on the spot. But there is so much magic resist that GAM is... Actually, they really haven't bought too much magic resist, especially not Style, so maybe that is a play, but we'll see. We're in territory we don't get to very often, Mapu. It's not often you get to 50 minutes into a game. We're not playing from like Season 8 in Korea or something like that, where we had like 80 minutes games 100 times or anything like that.
We have everyone on GAM is full build, with 2 going above and beyond. Supports don't count. We don't count them in builds. There is still gold left for Yoshino and Fook to collect. They are trying. I like that Flash are trying to donate the gold to them. Some magic to take up the super minions from Jane, because that extra damage against the minions, the magic damage. But now we go again. Cardi.
Okay. Past the Flash. That means Cardi's not going to be able to have backline access any... Oh, wait, this is really bad, actually. GAM has no angle to actually turn onto this. They're going to have to back. Or do they just flip for Elder? The question is, can they take Elder? They can't. There's no way they can take Elder before the base is just destroyed. You've got a bot side push, too. There's so many options here. As Style and Levi, they're going to be here. Equalizer drop from behind to make sure that they are going to take some damage. That's going to dump their wave. And now Team Flash... They're stuck between a rock and a hard place. They have to run into Levi's Style or they have to walk out. Now that's Style who's going to be able to find something. Levi going to get jumped on, going to die immediately as it's Fook1 dumping the Cyclone. That's the jungler down. If they can get Fook1 out, they actually have a really good angle on the Dragon here. As Jane finds Kiaya in the midst of everything. And now it is just Style left to do damage. But I don't think he's got the speed. The pull-in is going to get him. Sora is able to find a big pick here. And Pudding is going to be able to walk through everybody. That's the fight! Team Flash is going to take game number 1, Bobby. 54 minutes in. And what a setup from the pick tools of Team Flash.
Jane coming up huge at the end there, catching Kiara and finishing out the fight. Zin left only on a sliver to watch his base fall, and Flash find a huge upset win. Oh, if this was best of ones.